Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. As Alpha 3.8.2 is now live and the Carrack along with long-term persistence is out, eyes turn towards 3.9 as the next major patch, and that's only a month away. With long-term persistence LTP, it seems to have saved some people's sort of progression from 3.8.1 and brought it to 3.8.2. I wasn't expecting any progression to be saved between those two patches, so some people are reporting their purchases and Alpha UEC transferred to 3.8.2. Some are saying that some of their progress was carried over, and other people are saying that their stuff was entirely wiped. There is a character reset tab in the RSI website now that you can actually reset your stuff manually if you wish, like if you're stuck or you want to test something. I was as I said, not expecting progress to be kept over from the 3.8.1 patch, so that's at least something. The inconsistency of those copies, though, and that data is worrying for me if I wanted to grind. That said, we're still going to see future full wipes just happen because CIG are going to want to test things, there's going to be bugs, there's going to be problems, but we will hopefully have full wipes less frequently now. I mentioned at the end of my last video this briefly as well, so there is an Origin teaser suggesting that there's going to be a new Origin concept ship or straight to flyable ship or vehicle in the near future, and the sort of like teaser on a picture of a bridge for a Origin ship. According to our sources in New Austin, ICC consultants are spending a lot of time at Origin HQ. We're not sure what the implications are, but we're keeping our ears to the ground. So some people have said this might be a capital ship announcement, but we already have the 890 jump. Reading between the lines, they say, we are keeping our ears to the ground, so that could be an Origin rover or a mining vehicle, something like that maybe. However, they talk about ICC consultants, and I think that refers to the Imperial Cartographic Center, so exploration might be a factor here. I'd like to know your thoughts on what we might see in 3.9 or in a sort of like concept cell within the next few weeks. With Inside Star Citizen to go or not to go this week, we had them talking about the player status system and no-go meetings. I can't words. Actor status is anything that affects the status of a player. So this is buffs, debuffs, coldness, heat, all that sort of stuff. Things that will appear on your mobiGlas. You will have sort of like an indicator of how hot or cold or hungry or thirsty you are. The system as a whole is not to prohibit you as a player, it's to add to the Star Citizen experience. Basically saying that preparation is key to success, and they're going to reward players for equipping themselves well for doing particular adventures with gear and food that is appropriate for what they're doing. They want a fun experience that is not tedious with any form of light survival mechanics. Eating, drinking and protection from the elements is not the focus of Star Citizen. It's not a survival game. However, these are still important elements to add to the Star Citizen experience, and when you're choosing what missions to take, what planets to visit or points of interest to go to, this is going to be a factor. They have put a lot of research into things that would affect a player: heat, cold, various sort of like associated visuals with these buffs and debuffs too, light sensitivity, shivering. Obviously you can get malnutrition, you can be thirsty, and when they get more and more severe, you'll have more of an effect on your character. Every planet will have a base temperature that is then affected by the different areas of the planet you're in, and by humidity and wind chill, storms, buildings, all that sort of jazz. This will then in turn affect your body temperature and life expectancy based on the gear you are wearing. You might have an hour being able to run around a planet wearing reasonably good gear, or only a few minutes if you're totally naked. And I really like this idea. It does add to the game, hopefully, rather than taking away anything. There's going to be different gear to protect you from both heat and cold. Too hot, and you're going to get like raspy breath, swirly vision, and obviously that will affect your stamina. Get too cold or too hot for too long, and you're going to die. Is the idea here. So there are going to be buffs and debuffs gained from food. Some drinks may slow your thirst, some food might give you a temporary stamina buff and a little bit of health regen, things like that, but obviously they will also top up your thirst and hunger meters. Don't eat or drink for too long and you'll suffer the effects of malnutrition or dehydration. And I really like the idea of the player status system, as long as it doesn't go too far into survival. Go, no-go meetings. So these are here to check what features are ready to be put into the next major patch, or whether they should be pushed back. They sort of like also use this time to sync up with what all the teams are doing. It typically gets all the executives and directors of all tasks together, and they sort of like talk and show where they are with certain features and elements of the game. This also gives context and unity to the teams so they can understand where their piece of the puzzle fits into Star Citizen's development more. They also check the direction of certain mechanics and currently obviously those core features. One of the main aims here is to have a solid mechanic implemented with each of the mechanics and game elements they put into game, and then they can use that as something to build on. They don't want placeholder mechanics where possible. They want something polished and functional and then to build upon it. Like FPS mining more recently, the experience of that being to go to a store to buy mining equipment, travel to an asteroid field, cave or rock field, scan them, mine them with a little in-game minigame, and then go to a store to then sell it. That's a full gameplay loop, which they can then build on further. A lot of these features require further iteration and development though, but putting them live when they are ready to be put live then gives them thousands of testers to give them feedback and then play those loops to death. Sometimes features are not ready for a major patch in time and they will delay them for the next major update. They do like post-mortems on these features to work out why they weren't ready though. They do sort of like want to maintain their efficiency. They want to get better and better and better at producing more and more content for the community and their game. CIG are constantly learning still. The new targeting system does have a working model for it currently, but they took the decision to push it back to 4.0, and that's because it's not where they want it to be yet, but also because then they can at the same time unify it with a UI update that's going live at the same time. So they want this UI update to make the most out of the new targeting system, so they've pushed it back to 4.0 because that just seems sensible. But back to the Carrack. The ship is available for sale at the moment, and there is an expedition skin for the ship as well on sale for effectively $25. And I think that's quite expensive for a skin, but I've still purchased one because I'm a sucker and I love the Carrack. I'd like to know your thoughts on that though. Is $25 a silly price for a skin, or does it not matter because it's an aesthetic item that doesn't really do anything in game, and if people want to donate money for a skin to help aid the project, then cool. Do you think things like that then should be exclusive and not obtainable in-game, but only obtainable with real money when it comes to something that's purely aesthetic to help development? Or do you think that in itself is a silly idea? Are you playing 3.8.2 live at the moment? What's your experiences with that? Are you grinding up Alpha UEC for purchasing ships in the hopes that your progress is saved longer term? Or are you waiting on Star Citizen to have a bit more flesh on its bones before playing? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below.